All right, welcome back to Fright Night Flicks. You're here with Dan and Darren, your go-to horror movie review podcast.
What's up, guys?
What is up, everybody? Today we are going to be going over our fifth installment.
I believe it's the fifth
of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, because New Generation was 4.
Next Generation.
There you go.
Which is also new.
Yeah. So this is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003.
Yeah, and this is I think it's considered a remake, right?
Yeah, I am pretty sure this is a direct remake.
Yeah.
So before we get into that, though, we got a couple of housekeeping stuff to take care of. First of all, if you guys like the podcast, if you do us a huge favor, leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. You can just give us a rating. If you leave a comment, we will read it on here.
Absolutely.
Because right now we have 3 on Apple and we only have 2 on Spotify. So we need some help.
Yeah. Please
and you guys
help us.
are the perfect ones to help us. Even if you guys don't listen to the audio version, you just watch. If you could just go over there, extra points. Like I said, you leave a review on Apple, we're going to read it.
I don't even care if it's your phone. Go on someone else's device and just leave a review.
Yeah. So as usual, what we're going to do, we're going to go through the whole movie, kind of outline it and go through the story, give our little takes on it. We're going to finish up with a rating and which I'm not even sure of how I feel at the ratings. Whatever. Well, we're going to finish up with a rating and then we'll add in some trivia.
All right, let's roll.
So like I said, this is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. Director Marcus Nispel, writer Kim Hinkle, Toby Hooper, and Scott Kosar.
Oh, I didn't know Kim and Toby were on this too as writers.
I know. I mean, I guess they are.
Oh, interesting.
Which it would make sense if it's a remake of the first. You got to bring those guys back, right?
Well, absolutely.
Icons. Come on now. And this film, though, starring Jessica Biel.
Yeah, and she is very much starring.
Yes, she is the star of the show.
Almost distractingly.
Yeah. She's starring so hard it hurts.
Okay.
So the film begins. This is different than any previous Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We begin with the crime scene. They're going through different aspects of it.
Yeah, typically in every other movie, they had the scrolling text. Now this one's different. We have like crime scene, which is some old footage, right?
Yeah, it's old footage. It's like they're going over evidence, like different gross things they found there. And during it, there's a narration, which I'm going to read for you now. The film, which you're about to see, is the account of a tragedy that befell a group of 6 youths, -5 youths. It is all the more tragic in that they were young, but had they lived very, very long lives, they could not have expected, nor had they wished to see as much of the mad and macabre as they were to see that day. For them, an idyllic summer afternoon became a nightmare. For 30 years, the files collected dust in the cold case division of the Travis County Police Department. Over 1,300 pieces of evidence were collected from the crime scene at the Hewitt residence. Yet, none of the evidence was more compelling than the classified police footage of the crime scene walkthrough.
Did you find this odd? Like, I was a little confused on what was going on at first.
Yeah, no, it took me, I think, a couple times of watching of like, wait, the crime scene of what? And here's the thing, who the F are the Hewitts?
Yeah, so you have these Hewitts, a new name if you watch any TCM movies. They haven't been in the movie before.
The Hewitts are actually, the Slaughter family are the
Sawyers.
The Sawyers. Yeah, they get different names. For some reason, they change it to the Hewitts in this movie.
Well, because it's a new beginning. Well, actually, no, that's a different one, actually.
The New Beginning is a different movie.
You may be confused. That's a different movie. But I get it because it's a remake. So I guess they wanted to rename the family. I found it confusing, but
I find it all confusing. Like there's like 8 of these movies, right?
Yeah, there's a lot.
So, or 7 or 8, I forget how many. But like, it's just, there's some confusing things throughout them. But either way, it's the same family.
You hear Hewitt, that's the family. And also they said, this footage that was found there from 30 years ago. In my head, I'm thinking, okay, so this is now and this happened 30 years ago. I didn't realize that's actually what we're watching is something that happened 30 years ago.
Yeah, well, there's 2 things. You're watching the movie, then I'm like, is this saying the movie we're watching is that account? But they're talking it's the crime scene walkthrough, which we'll cut to right now.
Yeah.
So the crime scene walkthrough, it's like old footage. It's black and white. It's a police officer at the Hewitt residence, right?
Right.
This has a total like Blair Witch vibe.
Yeah, it's like a home movie camera type stuff.
Right off the bat, I'll say I noticed this film is going to be different.
Yeah. And I'll say this, I did actually like this crime scene walkthrough. I thought it was neat. I like the feel of it, right? The tone.
Yeah, it's setting the tone as this could be the scariest, like creepiest Texas Chainsaw yet.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah. So the cop starts out at the top of the stairs. He's documenting. It's like an evidence documenting, like he's just explaining what he's seeing in the house. He walks down the staircase. He notices there's scratch marks on the walls, a broken fingernail.
That's trouble.
Clumps of hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yeah, and so keep in mind, this is going to come back, guys.
Yeah, so there's that little part. Then they cut back to the narration. The events of that day were to lead to one of the most bizarre crimes in the annals of American history, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Ah! Did you notice they did the scream? I loved it. They had a girl like scream at the end of it.
No, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, well, here, you'll play it for him. But there's a scream that the girl screams at the end of it. It felt like a horror ride or something.
Oh, man, I didn't even notice that.
So we cut over to the kids. Now, we start off on a rope swing. I mean, they look like they're having a blast. They're swimming in a lake, maybe smoking some of the devil's lettuce.
Well, we'll see. Maybe.
Yeah. So the kids go from the lake back to the iconic van. Now, this is the first time we actually get to see all the cast of characters. And we're going to just run through who these people are that you are going to meet as the new cast of victims. So first we have Erin. That's played by Jessica Biel. Strong, a little bit of a tomboy. She's got some skills. Also, smoke show.
Very attractive, you'll see, and they have her in a nice little outfit for you guys.
Yeah. And she's going to be the girlfriend of Kemper, who's kind of like the leader of the group.
Good guy, but kind of bad guy, yeah.
Yeah, good guy. Yeah, you're right. He is kind of
I wouldn't say bad. I don't say any of them are bad, but you know how it is. It's a horror movie. There's character flaws.
Right. We have Morgan, who's like, I would say is a stoner nerd.
Yeah, I was going to say he's kind of smart. Seems to be smart from things he says in here.
Yeah, also complains a lot, but I guess he's the Franklin-ish kind of guy. Then we have Andy and Pepper. Now, Andy is their friend. He's what I would say is the wild card of the bunch, although he's not that wild, but he makes questionable decisions.
Yeah, it's hard to say what he is because you don't really get to know his personality very much at all.
Actually, that's a good point. I feel like they set him up in this opening scene as the wild card, but he actually isn't that wild.
No, I feel like I like him, but I can't really tell you anything about him.
Right. Yeah. And then there's Pepper, who is a hippie that they just picked up on the side of the road.
Yeah, she was hitching and they got her. You know, I honestly thought, I'm like, what if she was a member of the family the whole time?
That would be kind of cool, but that's not how this played. This was for once in a Texas Chainsaw, a good hitchhiker.
Yeah.
The scene opens and we have Andy and Pepper just doing one of the most hardcore makeouts ever in the back of the van.
It's funny because if I was in that van, I'd be like, what are you two doing? It's very awkward to be making out like that in front of a group of people.
Dude, here's the thing. When you're making out that hard, it only goes to one place.
Where's that?
you guys know. And I mean, I even think there's some like filling up and stuff going on back there, which, hey, I'm not judging. I'm just saying, like, how are you going to finish this whole thing? I mean, you're in a car, there's 5 people in here.
I mean, how long can you make out that hard before progressing, right?
Right. So Aaron's singing away, and they're singing some Sweet Home Alabama by Leonard Skinner.
They're setting the mood, man. Just a bunch of kids having a good time.
So we find out that the kids, and some of this is explained later, but I'm just going to explain right now for you guys. They're driving from Mexico on their way to Dallas to actually see a Leonard Skinner concert. So they're pre-gaming.
Right.
So during the makeout scene where Andy and Pepper are just going at it, we have Morgan deciding he wants to give a little advice to the young kids. And here's his line. 33,000 Americans a day are infected with a sexually transmitted disease, and 2/3 of them are about your age.
Yeah, I was like, why did they throw this in there? I think it's to just show who Morgan is, right? Like he's smart, intelligent, thinks maybe they're making bad decisions.
Yeah, you got to start building the characters.
Yeah.
So they're just showing you a little bit about Morgan. He's also rolling like a joint too.
Talk about a total CB though, right?
Oh, dude. Yeah, classic. So right now, I'll just say we've set the stage where we got a case of the triple Ds.
What's the triple Ds?
We got some deviancy. We got the sexual stuff going on. We got drugs in the car. And what does that lead to?
Danger?
Death.
Oh, it is true. Because in these horror movies, the whole time I'm watching, it's like, if there's a character flaw, if they're doing something bad, they're probably going to die.
Right. So they talk a little bit about their trip down to Mexico, and they're kind of making fun of Aaron because Aaron went to Mexico on this trip with these guys who obviously do a little bit of drugs. They're a little bit of partiers, right?
Yeah, they're wild.
And she didn't smoke weed or drink the whole time.
Right. So my thought when because they're describing that, it's like Erin's the good girl. She's the final girl, one might say.
Well, see, and my thought is Erin might be pregnant.
Now, that never comes into play. That's an interesting twist if it's true, and it very well could be. However, that wasn't brought in. That's interesting. That would make sense.
Well, because her next line is she tells Kemper that she wants a wedding ring.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, you're right.
I mean, who goes to Mexico with this group of people and you're not going to drink or anything?
Yeah, but I think that's just her personality. I just don't think she's into it, which is like, in my head, it's like, why did she go to Mexico with these people?
I don't think if she wasn't into it at all, she'd be into Kemper.
Yeah, but sometimes good girls like bad boys.
All right. Maybe that's true. So during the scene too, Morgan accidentally spills the beans here and exposes that they have 2 pounds of pot in the car.
So they went down to Mexico to buy drugs.
They're drug mules.
So you could see already some bad decisions have been made.
Yeah, Kemper and Aaron getting a little bit of argument. She doesn't like that they have the pot. She doesn't really know, but he basically kind of blows it off and says he would never do that, which he totally did. So I don't know. But they decide to kiss and make up. In what I would say is probably like one of the longest kisses, especially while you're driving a vehicle. I mean, let's be real. When you're watching this scene, you know something's going to happen.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know who just makes out when they're driving a car.
I mean, maybe like a little kiss, but they held it forever.
Well, you kiss, then you side-eye the road, right?
Yeah, he wasn't side-eyeing though.
No,
he was like straight on. So as he looks up, or Aaron screams, there's somebody in the roadway. They swerve around, barely miss this girl that's just in a trance walking down the road.
She's been through some stuff, guys.
She is. She looks rough. I mean, she's got dried lips, like snot running down her face. She's sweaty, and she's just saying things like, I got to get away. I want to go home. And they decide they're going to have to take her into the van.
Yeah, and so from their perspective, them meeting her, you could see how they might think she's crazy, right?
Oh, I would totally think she's a little bit crazy.
I would too.
I'd be a little nervous.
She's not, though.
So now we have 2 hitchhikers in the car. We have Pepper, the cool hitchhiker, and the weird girl in the back. So they're all kind of looking at her, like seeing what is going on. Obviously, she's in horrible shape, and they're just trying to like fill out the whole situation. So she lets them know that they're all dead.
Yeah, meaning, and we're going to find out her family that she was with.
Everyone she arrived with is dead. Now, yeah, again, that's for later on in the story. So they decide they're going to go look for a hospital. While they're driving, they spot the Blair Meat Company slaughterhouse.
Yep, and that also comes back into play.
Yes. So the girl tells them that when she sees the slaughterhouse, she says, you're going the wrong way. Totally kind of freaks out, does a crazy move, grabs the wheel, just tries to turn the car around herself.
She's just like in sheer panic and terror, right?
Yes. So they kind of push her back, get her in the back seat. She's having a little bit of a mental breakdown back there. And I believe that's where she says, you're all going to die.
You're all going to die.
Dude, that line was hard too. I was like, that like gave me almost chills.
I know.
You're all going to die.
Yep. So they're looking at this girl. She's freaking out. And then you notice again, she's like covered with blood and stuff.
Well, not so much, but then her legs, like you start seeing her legs and there's like blood all the way around, like all around her leg, right?
Yeah, the inner thighs had a lot of blood.
I was confused by that.
Well, it's going to get more confusing because she reaches down there and she pulls a gun out.
Yeah. So, I mean, are we to believe that the blood is from her storing the gun?
Let's not get too deep into that scene.
Okay, yeah, let's just move past. But there was a gun hidden somewhere.
She walked over to him. There was no gun. She reached between her legs,
boom,
found a gun. So she puts it up. Actually, she puts it in her mouth, pulls the trigger, game over.
The hitchhiker's gone.
Hitchhiker is now gone, which leads us to what I will say is probably the greatest camera shot I've seen. I don't even know, in any Texas Chainsaw movie for sure.
Okay.
So what they do, they pan the camera. So it starts in the front of the van and it goes backwards. And this is one continuous shot. So as it goes back, it starts revealing all the kids in the car. Then it goes through the hitchhiker's head and out the back window where the bullet went.
Dude, that is really cool. I didn't even notice that until he told me. That is a really cool shot.
Yeah, it was a total continuous shot. Looks awesome.
So now the kids have a problem. Because we know they have weed in the car and they have a dead girl.
Yeah, and so they all freak out. They stop the car, they jump out. We have the girls that are just like kind of breaking down crying. Pepper screams. She's a great screamer.
Yeah.
I would say almost maybe too good. Like it's a little too loud.
But that's TCM though. All the movies, the girls like really scream loud.
Yeah,
go back to watch Sally in the first one.
Oh, dude, you're totally
like
right.
so much screaming.
Pepper holds her own. We'll say that. Aaron's crying. The guys are yelling. Morgan kind of is like freaking out as usual. Like, so then we have like a dilemma where Morgan's like, or I think one of the girls wants to call the cops. Morgan doesn't want to call the cops because, like you mentioned, they have drugs in the car. How are they supposed to explain that? Right.
Right.
So Kemper kind of like decides, you know what? I got to take care of this. He grabs, I don't know if we mentioned this, the drugs are in a piñata.
Right.
And he grabs a piñata, just chucks it out into a field.
So all that work they did in Mexico, gone.
Yes. And he has a talk with Aaron after this where he explains to Aaron, because he did lie earlier and say he didn't have drugs.
Yeah.
He explains to her that he did it to start a better life or a new life.
Oh, and I would tell Aaron, this guy's trouble. If he's going, he wants to start a new life. So I'm going to start dealing drugs, I guess.
Yeah, that's the way to start our new life. And I would say it's a slippery slope, my friend.
Yeah. Hey, it may have just cost him his life in this movie.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't have to worry about dealing drugs unless it's to Satan.
Stupid.
So all the kids decide, you know what? We got to get back in the van, even with the dead body. So they cover up with newspaper articles, kind of turn her into a paper mache person.
And I'll say this though, man, the gore in this movie is done pretty well. Like I feel like I could almost smell the girl. You know what I'm saying? Like with the blood and the chunks around.
Well, and they definitely went back to their roots in this movie. You can see the sweat, you feel the heat.
Yeah.
It's gritty, and I love it. So as the kids are traveling along, looking for help, they come across a gas station. So they arrive at the gas station. The kids get out of the car. I think Pepper and Aaron go around and look for a bathroom on the outside.
Right.
Everyone else goes inside, and we meet our first family member, Luda May.
Right. And we don't know she's a family member yet, right?
Right. She works the counter at the gas station. Now, let me just tell you, this gas station is filled with a lot of meat, a lot of pig's heads, and a lot of flies.
Yeah. Again, we know it's hot and gross in there.
Yes. And Luda May seems pretty accommodating, at first.
Well, the funny thing is, so yeah, they're telling her, obviously, there's a dead body. She doesn't really seem affected by that. She's like, all right, anyways, what do you want me to do?
Yeah. And they talk her into calling the sheriff. So she calls the sheriff. Meanwhile, Pepper and Aaron find the bathroom. It's locked. So this is where we first see our skills of Aaron come into play. She picks the lock, gets in, and oh my, that bathroom.
Well, I was going to say, I would say Aaron is high proficiency. If you play TCM the game, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. She's very good at picking locks.
But when you see her pick the lock, there's a reason why they're showing that, because it's going to play a role later.
Right. So Luda May explains the sheriff, she gets in contact with him, but he doesn't want to come to the gas station to meet the kids. He wants the kids to meet him at the old Crawford Mill. So the kids, yet again, all get back into the van with the dead body and travel to the old Crawford Mill.
These poor kids, could you imagine driving in that car?
No, it'd be gross.
That'd be so disgusting.
And disturbing.
Well, I mean, the whole thing at this point is kind of disturbing. You have this dead body in the car. Now, the sheriff, there's obviously already something wrong, right? The sheriff's not even coming to that location. They have to go meet him at some random place. There's already some weird stuff going on. And by the way, when they left, May was looking out the window. So even her, at this point, there's something up with her as well.
Yeah, they're in a tough spot, though. Like, what do? You have a dead body in your car. The sheriff wants to meet you somewhere else. I mean, that's a red flag. They all kind of know it, but what do? No,
you're right. That lady killing herself in the car really screwed the whole... You know what? She's actually the real villain in this.
Yeah.
She screwed them all over.
I mean, she could have actually given a lot more information.
Yeah.
And she probably could have just been chill and had them turn the car around.
Well, she had a gun. She could have put the gun on him, say, hey, let's turn around. Don't go that way. Boom. Problem solved.
Boom.
We just fixed the movie.
Yeah.
And made it incredibly boring one.
Yeah. So the kids arrive at the mill. Now, our first shot of the mill, it looks like it's a 2-story mill, maybe. It's dilapidated. There's foliage that's all overgrown, the grass, the trees, everything's overgrown.
Right.
And it's totally abandoned.
You know what's funny too? We don't really see that much of the mill itself. They're kind of outside for the most part.
Yeah, they spend the most time on the outside of the mill.
Yeah.
But they do go inside, and we'll get to that. So the first thing that happens when we get to the mill, we have yet another dilemma, and Morgan wants to just dump this body.
Right.
He's over it. The sheriff's not there. They're kind of like, this is weird. Things are just getting worse and worse. He's kind of, to be honest, he is the smart guy. He knows something's wrong, and he's trying to get out of the situation.
Yeah, actually, Morgan was probably right. The correct decision would have been dump the body, but is it the moral decision?
That's true. That's true.
And you also have to remember, Morgan's also high, so that plays a factor.
Yeah, well, and also, though, I mean, if you dump the body and just leave, that's not good either. I mean, yeah,
you can get arrested for that.
Yeah, like there's multiple things. Anyways, so they take a little bit of a vote. So Morgan and Andy for sure are like, let's just dump this thing. Kemper is in between. He has this like dilemma with Aaron where you can tell she's like trying to give him the eyes, like, don't you dare.
Yeah. He knows he's gonna be in big trouble if they dump the body.
Right. So Aaron explains to him, like, the girl's not trash. You can't dump the body. Kemper kind of like hems and haws, but he's more on the dumping side.
Right.
So they move the scene now a little bit where they go in front of the mill, in front of like a doorway where they're just kind of sitting around talking.
Uh-huh.
And again, the sheriff's not there, still figuring out what they're going to do. As they're sitting there, though, something runs by the doorway. Inside the mill, in the dark mill, something runs by.
You don't see what it is, but something's in there.
So what do you do when that happens in a horror movie?
You send the girl.
You send the girl.
You send the final girl.
So Erin goes in just exploring the mill by herself. Everyone else stays outside. And she ends up screaming. Everybody runs in to find out what. She heard something in a locker. They slowly open the door and we see a
possum.
Yeah.
Possum jump scare.
Possum jump scare. So they all have a good laugh about the possum. And there's some funny behind the scenes stuff about the possum too.
Oh, all right.
Like they had a hard time actually making it aggressive. And then the animal keeper's like, well, do you know what a possum does when it's scared? Like they were saying, like, scare it, to make it aggressive.
Uh-huh.
What does a possum do when it's scared?
Yells?
It plays dead.
Oh, you're right. It does. It plays possum.
Yeah. So anyways, I just found that funny. So while they're in the mill, they something catches their eye. It's a young bug-eyed boy with some chompers on him.
Yeah, he looks like maybe something you'd imagine a child that came up through inbreeding, maybe, yeah. Right?
Definitely could be in there. So this is Jedediah, another member of the family. So we've met, what's her name?
May. We've met May.
We've met May, and now we meet Jedediah. So Jedediah, I would say he has like a nest up here.
Well, it looks like that's where he's sleeping. It looks like there's some like bedding, right?
There's bedding. There's lots of like dolls and like weird, they're like weird sculptures he's built.
Yeah, it's his little play area.
Right.
And you might think he's evil. He's not.
He's not. Jedediah is one of the good family members. So they talk to Jedediah a little bit. He takes him back outside of the mill.
This part kind of made me laugh because they're all just kind of chilling with Jed,
Yeah, then he's kind of in his own world a little bit. He's spacey.
He doesn't really care. He's just there.
Yeah, and I mean, Jedediah likes to decorate too, because in this scene, I counted 5 dolls. One of them had like horns attached to it. One had a spine attached to it.
Dude, it's kids being kids.
Kids being kids.
Doing kid stuff.
So Jedediah explains to him the sheriff isn't there because he's drunk at his house. Classic.
Yeah.
So he tells him he knows where the house is, but there's no road. It's a short walk though.
Right.
So now we have yet again another dilemma. Do we go look for the sheriff or do we just leave?
And dump the body?
Yeah. Morgan wants to just leave at this point.
Okay.
So Kemper makes this one easy though. He wants to go look for the sheriff. Morgan wants to leave. He kind of overrides him and decides they're going to look for the sheriff.
Right. And that's when, who is it? Kemper and Aaron take off down towards the house. And then we have Pepper, Andy, and Morgan at the mill. While
Pepper, Andy, and Jed are hanging out, Jed starts to just poke the dead body.
He's just a curious boy.
Yeah,
he's a curious boy doing stuff, boy stuff.
Yeah, so they kind of run him off a little bit, and he just like takes off and is gone.
So when he took off initially, I thought maybe he was going to go warn the family, but again, I don't think that was the case at all.
No, Jed's on the good side. So Aaron and Kemper arrive at the family house. Now, first, let's talk about the family house. This is like a 2-story plantation-style house.
Yeah, it's a lot different than the original family or even any of the other ones, but it looks giant.
It's giant. It looks cold. It looks like it's concrete.
It does look cold.
Super cold and dark. Like every window is just black.
Yeah.
So very intimidating house. I love the look of it.
Well, from the outside, you almost think no one lives there.
You would definitely think no one lives there. So they arrive at the front door. They're doing some knocking, a little bit of yelling. They didn't break in yet to this house.
Right.
So they're yelling, and this is where we meet old Monty.
And Monty has no legs.
Yeah, so Monty not only has no legs, he's in a wheelchair because he has no legs.
Yeah.
He's holding like a rat dog. He's like he looks like a dirty kind of old mechanic or something.
Yeah. I guess, sure, you could go with that.
Yeah.
And he's gruff, too. He's not like the most pleasant guy to meet.
No, not the most welcoming. So he does let Aaron come in and call the cops, but he makes sure Kemper stays on the outside.
And that's important to know. He actually pushes Kemper back from coming in.
So Aaron goes inside the house with the help from Monty. And, I forgot, we didn't mention the sheriff. Monty says the sheriff doesn't live here. This is supposed to be the sheriff's house.
Oh, that's right.
He says the sheriff doesn't live here. So he takes her to the phone, dials up the sheriff for her. She gets on the phone and is talking to supposedly the sheriff.
I mean, what a cluster. It's like they got the dead body, the sheriff's not there. Then they go to where the sheriff is supposed to be. He apparently doesn't even live there anymore.
Right.
Like, they're in a bad situation.
Yeah. So they get the phone call over. Monty like goes off to the bathroom, and there's like this red, like they show the bathtub and it's just like pouring this like red sludge.
Dude, the sludge was like disturbing. You know what it reminded me of?
What?
Like Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Like
remember?
that.
It was weird.
Yeah, it was gross. So anyways, Monty's meanwhile like emptying his catheter bag into the toilet, and he needs help up. So Erin, being the nice girl that she is, decides she's going to help him up. While she's doing that, old Monty cops a fill on the back end.
I mean, you know, he's probably hasn't seen many girls that look like Aaron.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Shooter's got to shoot, bro.
I know. Good for Monty. I mean, it's like sexual abuse, but
yeah, we don't approve. I'm just saying.
So meanwhile, Kemper's outside the house. He's not really hearing much out there. He decides he needs to come in and kind of see what's going on.
So this I thought was funny because you'd think he'd go in there looking for his girlfriend, but he kind of just like wanders around.
Yeah, he's exploring.
Yeah, it's not like, hey, where is she? Kind of is looking for her, but not really.
Right. So he's going through the house, and we didn't mention this. The house is actually pretty clean.
Yeah, compared to other versions of the house, it looks like they've actually taken care of it a little bit.
And in fact, Monty actually said to like wipe their feet before they go in.
Oh, actually, you're right. They made a point.
Yeah, but having said that, old Kemper finds some pigs just roaming around.
Why there are pigs in the house? I don't know.
We don't know why, but there's pigs. So Kemper hears a TV on with some like creepy cartoons playing. He walks over. He's like intently like staring at the TV. Meanwhile, Leatherface sneaks up behind with a sledgehammer. Boom, game over. This is our first look at the new Leatherface.
Do we actually get to see him at that point?
Just a little bit, but I'm already going to tell you, this Leatherface is strong.
He's big. He's a big boy.
So he hits Kemper and he drags him off to his lair and does the door slam. Not that impressed with the door slam.
No, but I am glad they threw it in. You got to throw a door slam in.
Yeah, but put the power into it.
You're right. That first one, the power is what made it like the house almost shook, right?
Right. Yeah.
But that door slam does alert Erin, and now she's like, oh, something made a loud noise. And she's immediately a suspect. Something bad happened.
Right. So she goes exploring, looking for Kemper. And she finds actually, I think, the door that he went through, but there's just like a peephole, and it's not like a traditional door handle. It's a slider. It's huge.
And I did think it was cool. They had like a little peephole on the door. It's just kind of creepy. I don't know. You'd be like, why would they need that, right?
Yeah. So she kind of like looks in it, but can't see anything. And then she kind of just leaves the house.
Well, the funny thing, I thought it was funny. She's looking for Kemper inside. She doesn't know he ever came inside. Like, I would think she'd immediately go outside to look for him.
Well,
Being nitpicky here, but
she heard the noise.
But why would you even assume it was him?
It's true.
It's
true. So meanwhile, back at the mill, Sheriff Hoyt arrives. That's our next family member.
Man, and Sheriff is just fiery. If you've ever seen this actor, he's almost the same in every movie.
So Sheriff Hoyt's played by Arlie Ermy, I think his name is. He was the actor. He was the drill sergeant or gunny sergeant in Full Metal Jacket.
Right.
So he's like an iconic character. I got to be honest, he's my favorite family member in this.
Yeah, I mean, he has some classic lines.
Yeah, so he shows up. He's gritty. He's chewing tobacco, spitting. He's a old Southern cop.
Yeah. And I would say just as soon as he arrives, he's off-putting, I would say. If I was at the scene and he showed up and the way he talks, you'd think something's not right here.
Right. So, and at this point, Erin's not here yet. She's on her voyage back from the house.
Right.
So it's just it's Pepper, Morgan, and Andy.
Right.
So one of Sheriff Hoyt's first lines to the kids kind of like sets the stage to how this is going to go. Let me say it for you. Excuse me, mind getting the F out of my way, son.
Again, man, he's gruff.
Well, I love it too, because it's like, excuse me, mind getting the F out of my way? So he ends up like he's investigating the scene. He finds the dead body, finds the gun. And this is where it looks, they set the stage because he doesn't just like take the gun and put it in an evidence bag. He holsters it.
Yeah, he puts it in his holster up by his ankle, right?
Which fits perfectly. You didn't catch this.
Oh, I didn't. I didn't even catch that.
It's
Guys,
his gun.
It was his freaking gun?
I knew you didn't catch that.
Oh.
So then he's got to take care of the scene. And you know what you do? I mean, I know all of you guys are cops out there and have dealt with a lot of dead bodies. What do you do to kind of like clean up the scene?
Saran wrap.
Yeah, you saran wrap him.
Of
So
course.
he gets out saran wrap. He enlists Andy for some help. And they kind of pull her up and they're saran wrapping the body.
Yeah, this scene was disturbing because you have poor Andy trying to like saran wrap a body, and you can just imagine what that would be like.
Yeah. And now Sheriff Hoyt has some great lines here. Back when I was a young patrolman, I used to love wrapping up these young honeys. Caught me a bit of a fill now and then, you know, and then he grabs a tit.
Dude, again, he's disturbing, man.
This
It's
is
like
a dead body with a hole in its head.
I mean, I admit I like the comedy part of it, but again, when you're watching this, as a viewer, I'm like, okay, I hope he's good so these kids can get out of it, right? But the more and more he talks, you're like, this guy's really bad.
Yeah, and this is where it gets even more disturbing. This one was just gross. Oh, look at that. She's kind of wet down there. What you boys been doing with this dead body anyways?
I know, man. I'm like, that's
Oh,
disgusting.
oh,
That's
dude.
disgusting.
It's so gross. Oh, it like honestly kind of gives me chills. That's disgusting. So they get the body all wrapped up. The sheriff has Andy and Morgan pick up the body and take it to his vehicle. During this part, Pepper's just like, this seems so wrong. To which Sheriff Hoyt says, don't give me crap, young lady. God damn it, I have as much respect for a dead body than anyone around here. And as Morgan and Andy load the body into the sheriff's back seat, Sheriff Hoyt says, hey, get that nasty goddamn thing out of the back seat of my goddamn car. Put it in the trunk. What the hell's the matter with you?
Dude, he was really funny. He was crazy.
Well, I loved it because it's like he acts like he's really concerned. And then he's like, don't put that thing in my car. So now we cut back to Leatherface's lair. And I will say this is not the Leatherface of old. This is a new, improved Leatherface.
Right. And the lair is also quite a bit different, and it is wet.
It's very wet. There is a leak in this house somewhere that nobody's concerned about, but this place is like flooded and dripping water.
Yeah, it's not just like little drips. It's just like soaked everywhere.
It's a rainforest.
Yeah, it's like disgusting. Like you walk in there, your feet are going to be all like, swampy.
Yeah. It looks like there's like a foot of standing water.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
So he ends up like hooking Kemper up by the legs, takes him up on the hook, and Leatherface has like all kinds of equipment in here. I mean, he's got stuff to like preserve the face. It looks like petroleum jelly. He's got all kinds of new knives and equipment for dismembering.
Yeah, he's like a surgeon almost.
I could swear I saw like blood tubing, like he's doing blood transfusions or something.
Who knows what he's into?
Yeah, I'm just setting the stage. This is a different Leatherface.
You're right. It doesn't seem like the old Leatherfaces who was pretty much just concerned with the face. Maybe he takes some skin off the body. This guy is really interested in the human anatomy.
Yeah, he's doing work. Back at the old mill, Erin has returned from her journey, and Sheriff Hoyt at this point has already taken the body and he's left the scene. So now we're back with the original cast, excluding Kemper.
Right. He's dead.
He's that's
100%. He's gone.
So Erin at this point finds out that the sheriff is already on the scene, which leaves the question of like, who was she even talking to?
Yeah, because she was under the impression the sheriff was going to be there in 30 minutes, but he was already there. So yeah, so we don't know. I don't know who she was talking to at all. Maybe she was talking to May.
Possibly. Maybe she thought she was talking to a dispatcher who was telling her where the sheriff was, but you think she'd you know what? She never went into the gas station.
Oh, she didn't. So she never met May.
I don't think she went in. I think she stayed on the outside the whole time. But
Oh, interesting.
at least
Okay.
from what I remember, could be wrong on that. Then a car horn goes off and it's steady going.
Right. So they're all alerted. What is this horn? Let's go find out.
Yeah, so they go and there's like a car graveyard,
Right.
bunch of old rusted up cars. They find that a stick's been jammed into the horn and held there. So this was intentionally set off.
Yeah. Someone wanted them to come that direction.
Yeah, they're kind of inspecting the area. They find human remains. Actually, they found some teeth with some braces on them.
Yeah. It was gross.
It's gross. So they're all getting a little freaked out. And then Morgan spots something like in the hood of the car.
Morgan's a freaking idiot.
Yeah, so he sees something inside, sticks his arm in, and decides he's going to play a little prank.
Yeah. Pretends like something's grabbing him and then he pulls out a jar or something, right?
Yeah, he doesn't just pretend. He starts screaming and flailing his body as if somebody's ripping his arm off. And let me just put this into perspective. We've had a girl kill herself in front of him. A friend's missing. They have this creepy sheriff show up that just is sketchy as ever. And this is where he's going to play a joke.
I know. It's like terrible comedic timing. Morgan, no one thinks this is funny.
No.
Even as the audience, it's not funny.
No. So he ends up pulling out a jar, which is like a jar, some liquid in it, with a picture. And they notice the picture is of the girl who killed herself.
Right. So we see the girl with her family.
Yeah. So you see the picture on one side of the girl, then it's like the girl and her family. And I think this is like a little Jedediah nest because not only I think he
I
said
like how you call it a nest.
he's a nester.
Okay.
So I think he set the horn off to get their attention to kind of give them like a little heads up of what's going on
Oh, okay.
because there was another doll in the back seat as well. So we have a doll, the stick and the horn that's kind of up his alley, and he's a friend of the victims. He's trying to help them. And he shows he would keep something like that.
That is an interesting point. You're right. Because we don't know it yet, and we'll find out. They actually can't leave. So maybe
That's
he is
true.
just warning them.
Yeah. Or was it a distraction so they could do something to the van?
Oh, you know what? I think you're wrong. I think it was a distraction for the van now that I think about it.
I don't know. You guys let us know what you think because that could play both ways.
You took me on a journey, man. I initially thought it was the van, then you convinced me on Jedediah, and now I'm back to the van.
So we have ourselves another dilemma here where Morgan and Pepper are over it. They want to leave and they want the keys to the van.
Yeah, I thought this scene was interesting because you got the feeling like Morgan and Pepper were going to ditch everyone.
Yeah, because Aaron wants to go look for
Kemper's still gone. No one knows where he is.
They're ready to just leave, but they're like really wanting the keys. And Aaron's like, I'm not giving them to you.
Right.
Which I thought was really strange. Like I wouldn't trust either of those two at this point.
No. And that's the thing, because at this point, no one knows anyone's like been killed there, right? Like we don't know everyone's really bad. So why wouldn't you go look for your friend?
Yeah, that's pretty cold to just be like, I'm out.
Yeah.
So at this point, we have a classic split up. We have Aaron and Andy who go looking for Kemper. Pepper and Morgan stay with the car. Jed's roaming around somewhere. And then we cut back to Leatherface, who's hanging. He's got Kemper hanging there. And something falls out of Kemper's pocket.
Guys, Kemper had a ring and he was going to propose. How sad.
This was going to be his moment.
How sad is that?
Leatherface finds the diamond ring.
I actually didn't like that. I'm like, why are we even putting that in here? I don't like drama stuff. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's good. It ties you into these characters. Now you like Kemper more, but he's dead.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate Kemper. Kemper was just okay, you know?
So Aaron and Andy arrive back at the family house. So they come up with a plan where Aaron and Andy are going to Aaron's going to distract Monty while Andy sneaks around and gets into the house. Now, I thought this plan kind of went off kind of strange because I thought Andy was going to go to the back, and he's also carrying a tire iron. That'll come into play.
Right.
I thought he would sneak around the back of the house and get in, but what he does is just sneak through the front door, right? Like right next to where that guy is.
Yeah, not a good strategy. Plus, Aaron's also not good at small talk. Especially with like a gruff guy. She's asking about his garden. Like,
she was saying like, oh, your garden's like plentiful or something. It's like, there's no way there's a garden here that's plentiful.
Yeah, first of all, I didn't even see a garden. And second of all, you think this guy cares about talking about a garden? I mean, it was just so obviously bad. Like, it was just even a bad fake lie.
Yeah. So Andy breaks into the house, and yet again we have a case of now the kids are like treading in some sketchy waters.
I mean, I guess he breaks in, but again, the thing is, he's not like actively looking for Kemper. He's just kind of roaming, exploring the house.
We also don't know if Kemper's in the house.
No, they have no idea where he is, but they suspect he's in there, which they were correct.
They were right, but they really didn't know. All she did is hear a noise.
True.
So, very strange. Andy goes on his explorations. He finds like a meat room, I'll say. It's the kitchen, but there's just meat hanging everywhere.
Right.
He explores the fridge. I forget, something freaks him out or something. He knocks some like bunch of stuff off the fridge and makes a ton of noise.
But again, you're in a dicey situation. Why are you looking through the fridge?
Yeah, I don't think Kemper, I guess Kemper could have been in there.
You know what? That's very likely.
Yeah, that's possible. So Aaron hears something break, runs into the house to check it out, and old Monty calls Leatherface.
Come on, boy. Bring it.
And
I liked that.
Dude, first I did love it because it was intense, right? And then, of course, they have the music going and everything. And you're just waiting to see what happens. And Andy's like, what do you mean bring it? It's like, buddy, ain't for you.
No. So Andy and Aaron are standing up against the wall or the door where I believe Kemper got dragged through.
I think so.
And they're kind of looking at old Monty. Meanwhile, Leatherface takes the door, slams it open, starts his saw, and boom.
Chaos. Are you guys ready? Because it's about to get real.
So first of all, we got our first look at Leatherface, who is wearing, it almost looks like a Joker mask, you know?
Dude, he looks freaking scary.
He's scary.
He's really big compared to them. Really big. And his face looks scary.
I will say this is the scariest, most athletic, most powerful Leatherface I've seen.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. So the kids take off. Aaron bolts. She's got like a straight line out the door. Andy, though, not so much. He trips up, falls on the ground with his tire iron.
But luckily he has that tire iron.
Yes, because Leatherface comes and he's going for the overhead. Andy puts up the tire iron. There's the battle. Sparks are flying. He's blocking it so far. And somehow he breaks free. I forget how.
Yeah, I forget too. He breaks free.
He breaks free from Leatherface. And he goes to run out the front door. Again, Aaron's already gone. Runs out. Monty gets one hit on him.
Yeah, I'll say this. Monty actually put in some work for the family.
Yeah, he got like a cane shot on him.
Can't do much, but he did what he could.
Yeah. Now we get to my favorite scene ever of Leatherface.
Ooh.
So you'll have to watch this slow because Leatherface does a one-arm chainsaw swing overhead, which just looks badass.
Yeah.
And then he explodes the front door.
Again, in this movie, you will see Leatherface is powerful. He looks like he's powerful. His chainsaw will like cut through everything and he just destroys stuff.
He goes all gas, no brakes. So Andy runs through the front yard. He finds where they dry all their laundry.
Apparently, they have a ton of bed sheets that need to be dried out.
Lots of bed sheets, like a lot. So Leatherface has chased him with a chainsaw. He's running through these sheets. Well, Leatherface gets a swing in and chops off Andy's leg.
Dude, and that, again, the gore in this, it looks pretty real. Or at least there's gory. It made me, like, wince when I saw that.
Yeah, this movie, like, it gets legit jump scares. And I get, like, cringy moments. Not, like, cringe bad, but, like, I'm like, oh, God. Like, there's some gross stuff.
That would have hurt. But
Yeah.
you know what? When he's running through the sheets, I don't know what he's doing. Because you see other shots of the sheets later. It's almost like he was circling him through the sheets or something.
He's just trying to lose him, man.
It's a bad idea.
Yeah, well, obviously. So Leatherface grabs him, takes him down to the basement. Now, we notice this basement he's getting dragged down in is from that earlier shot of the police investigation.
And as we see when Leatherface is bringing him down, he's scraping the walls with fingernails.
Dude.
My God, it's like chalk on the board times 10. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
well,
saying?
it's chalk on the board, like on the chalk on the board. It's not chalk on the board. You
Fingernails
idiot.
on a chalkboard. But chalk on the board is equally as bad.
No. So he's scraping the walls, and then when you see his fingernail break.
Oh man, that hurt. That hurt.
That's so bad. So Andy's now stuck with Leatherface in the basement. Aaron has gone through the forest and arrived back at the mill with Pepper and Morgan.
Right, and Aaron's trying to get the car out of there. They're trying to leave.
So Aaron's trying to start the car, but it's not turning over. And then Sheriff Hoyt arrives to save the day.
How convenient.
Until he finds a joint.
And we all know Sheriff Hoyt don't like joint.
Okay. So these kids weren't very responsible with their drugs here. All right. First, I mean, they did get rid of the pinata. They didn't clean up their front dashboard, which apparently has like an ashtray with a bunch of joints in it.
Right.
So at this point, Sheriff Hoyt, he takes all the kids out, puts them on the ground. He's in investigation mode. Meanwhile, back at the basement, Leatherface takes Andy, throws him on a hook.
Right. And so we see two things here. One, I mean, Leatherface just easily places him on the hook. Powerful.
Again, powerful.
Two, the freaking hook drops are just brutal. Like,
Dude,
you can feel that drop.
Like when he lifts him up, he again, it's that weight, and then he puts the hook in, and then you see the body settle on it, and it just hurts.
And we also really get to see how wet it is down there because water is just dripping all over him. And okay, keep in mind, I feel like there's a reason for this, and we're gonna find out, but we'll get there later.
Okay. So Leatherface is working on Andy here, and we have a problem because Andy's got an amputated leg. Leatherface got to see he's going to die if he doesn't do something.
Okay, so again, you mentioned he's a different type of Leatherface because the previous Leatherface didn't really care about keeping people alive because this guy's almost like, it seems like he wants to maybe torture him a little bit.
It does seem like that.
Yeah, and so this part is really disturbing. He grabs what I think is salt.
Salt or ice? I don't know why you do ice.
I feel like it's salt.
Something to stop the bleeding. Maybe it's some type of clotting, like,
who knows,
powder thing. I don't know.
Some magic powder, we'll say.
Well, it's not even powder. It's like crystallized, whatever.
And he grabs it and puts it on the stump of a leg. Oh man.
And Andy feels every bit of it.
Yeah, good acting. Good acting by Andy.
Yeah. So meanwhile, back at the van, Sheriff Hoyt's going through their IDs, kind of figuring out where these kids are from. Again, he's investigating them now because he found marijuana and they had a dead body in their car from earlier.
Yeah, and at this point, they still don't know if he's a bad sheriff. They know he's a little corrupt, but they don't know if he's bad.
Right. So Aaron tells him, hey, there's a chainsaw man that's killing people. And Hoyt doesn't really want to hear that. Instead, he more keys in on the fact that Kemper maybe killed that girl and ran away.
Right. He's acting as if he's investigating, but I don't think he's really doing that. I think he's just messing. I mean, he is. He's just messing with him at this point.
Yeah. So Aaron gets mad at him, kind of talks back a little, to what Sheriff Hoyt just simply pulls out his gun and starts shooting around her head.
And now you know they're in a bad spot.
Yeah. So at this point, Hoyt takes Morgan and moves him to the van.
Okay, this gets a little disturbing.
It does. So before we get to Morgan in the back of this van, we cut to Leatherface, and he's got a new project he's working on. Not only does he have a new project, he's not using a needle and thread for his sewing techniques. He's got a sewing machine in here.
I thought it was an interesting choice to have him using a sewing machine. Kind of funny, right?
Well, I think that it is kind of funny, but it's also like this, again, this is like the top of the line Leatherface here.
Well, you know what I get from this is he sewed a lot of faces to where now he wants a machine to sew the face.
Yes, that's a good point.
So you might wonder, well, what's he sewing, Daniel?
It's Kemper. It's Kemper's face, and I got to be honest, he's done a great job.
I mean, it's immaculate.
It's a pristine face. He's kept it clean. It looks great, and he's got his new mask ready to go. So during this scene too, we get our first shot at Leatherface's actual face.
Which I actually did not love. I kind of like the mystery. I don't need to see the face, but you see him and he's missing a nose.
Yeah, there's something wrong, and we'll learn later on that he has a skin disease, but yeah, there's like no nose. It's a problem.
What'd you think about them showing the face?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't love it, but it was kind of creepy too, so.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah. Back to the van, and this is where Hoyt and Morgan spend some quality time in the back.
Hoyt wants Morgan to reenact the scene because he needs to see how the girl killed herself.
Yeah, so they go back and forth. It's very uncomfortable. Hoyt's kind of ordering Morgan to the point where it's no longer fun and games at all. Yeah. I mean, it hasn't been fun and games for a while, but it was a
little fun when he was shooting the gun.
Yeah. So he makes Morgan move to the exact spot the girl's sitting, even though it's all bloody and everything there.
Oh, I know. Again, the blood in this is just brutal.
Yeah. So he has him sit in that exact spot. Then it goes up a notch. Hoyt gives Morgan his revolver, and he wants Morgan to show how the girl killed herself.
Up to the point where he wants him to actually put his finger on the trigger.
And the gun in his mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That was more important.
Yeah, I would say the gun in the mouth's a little more than the finger on the trigger. But so while he's doing that, Morgan decides he's going to take this into his own hands.
Which is probably the decision I would have made too. Is like, you have a gun, go ahead and flip that around.
Yeah, so he takes it out of his mouth, pulls it on Sheriff Hoyt. Hoyt basically starts threatening him. You're going to be an accomplice, or you're going to be, accomplice to murder. He's actually talking to the girls, like, stop him from doing this. But then we have another dilemma where Pepper wants Morgan to shoot the sheriff. But of course, Aaron, not so much.
There's a lot of choices in this movie, aren't there? I didn't even think about that. Lots of these like little moral conundrums.
Yeah. And Aaron always chooses the right one. Maybe that's why she stays alive? Question mark?
I don't know.
So Morgan decides to pull the trigger and click. No bullets.
Of course. There was no bullets in the gun. It was all a game.
So Hoyt grabs...
What a sick guy, though, by the way. This sheriff is bad. Because you start wondering, why did he do all this?
He just likes it.
Just I think that's what it is. It is part of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know if he pulls that gun or it seemed like he might have taken out another gun. So he pulls his gun on Morgan and basically like says he wants to shoot him.
Right.
Doesn't do it. Makes Morgan leave the van and actually get into the back of his car.
Right. So now Morgan and Hoyt are going to go on a journey together. And the other, how many people are left? Two? The two girls are going to be at the mill.
Yeah, it's Pepper and it's Aaron. And Sheriff Hoyt grabs the keys with him as well.
Right. So they can't leave.
So during the drive with Morgan decides he's going to kind of try to bribe. They're having some weird conversations. He decides he's going to try to bribe Sheriff Hoyt with some Leonard Skinner tickets, to which Sheriff Hoyt just takes a bottle and smashes it across his face.
That was a brutal smack, too.
Yeah, he knocks some teeth out.
Yeah. And then we find out Hoyt actually is missing teeth, too.
Yeah, they both don't have teeth.
These two are becoming great friends.
Yeah. So Hoyt at that point gets on the radio and says, hey, get the other two are ready at the Crawford Mill. Like, send somebody over to the girls.
So now we know Hoyt's, which we kind of knew already, but now we officially know Hoyt's part of the family, and this is all part of the plan.
Yep, exactly. So Hoyt ends up taking Morgan back to the family house, gets him out of the car, beats him up a little bit, and then takes him inside.
Right.
Meanwhile, back at the van, it's Aaron and Pepper, and Aaron, again, showing off some skills. She's going to hotwire the van.
Yeah, again, that plays back into when she was picking the lock at the restroom. We see she's very good with her hands.
We learn that she has a little bit of a troubled past where she was once in juvie. I don't know if we know the details of why, but it's a thing.
What we know is she's not entirely perfect.
No, but she's trying to be a better person now.
Yeah, by hotwiring her car. No, we understand. She has to.
So Aaron actually succeeds and actually gets this car started, only to have every tire fall off this van.
I thought that was kind of funny. So even though they took the keys, they wanted to really make sure they weren't going to leave by just removing all the tires, which it must have been done when they went and investigated that car graveyard area, right?
I would think that was the only point they were really away.
Yeah, because all the other time there was someone there.
Which makes me question Jedediah.
No way is our little Jed doing that.
I don't know. We'll have to look into some behind the scenes on that part. So after all the tires fall off the van, Leatherface arrives and he just starts going at this car. He starts tearing up the trunk. He's sticking his saw through the window to the point he actually climbs on the roof of the car and starts sticking his saw down through the roof.
Yeah, so the girls are in the van. I actually thought that was really cool. The girls are in the van, and then the saw is just coming from above, just hitting. Sometimes, what is it, hitting that girl's sweater sometimes? Sometimes it's just hitting nothing. But he's just playing around on top of the car.
So Pepper has on a down jacket that has feathers in it, and you just see feathers start kind of exploding off her when she's getting tagged.
Yeah. So while they're in the van, Leatherface actually reaches his hand in the van and grabs Aaron's head. So, So now Aaron's trapped. So Aaron's asking Pepper to help. What does Pepper do?
Pepper runs.
Pepper ditches her, which is, you know how horror movies work. She just signed her own death warrant.
Yeah, she's also only known these people for a day.
Actually, that's true. I mean,
I
don't know. We'll give her a little bit of a pass.
So Pepper takes off, but she gets clipped by Leatherface, and then she falls onto the ground. Now, she's still alive at this point, but Leatherface follows up, and this is where I think the story takes a turn. because Pepper turns into a chicken. Because all we see is feathers fly up as Leatherface buries his saw into her.
Yeah, you actually don't see her get killed. So we don't know for sure if Pepper's dead.
Yeah, Pepper's for sure dead. But
Pretty sure, but unconfirmed.
Yeah. So after the chicken exploded, we get another scene where Leatherface turns around and oh my God, he's wearing
Kimber's face. And this is, I mean, I think it was meant to be like startling and scary, but it had me laughing because it did look just like Kimber's face.
I mean, it was Kimber's face on him.
And the funniest thing is you'll see Leatherface later. That face never looks like that again.
No, it was just for that scene. And the expression on Kimber's face just was funny.
Just like, oh no.
Oh no.
So now we will be calling him Kimber Face for the rest of the movie.
That's not true. So Erin takes off, runs through the woods, finds, and Leatherface is chasing her this whole time, finds like a mobile home in the middle of nowhere, runs inside, and this gets weird.
Yeah, the people look really weird. You have a really heavy set lady, and you have Henrietta, we find out is her name, who's real skinny and frail, right?
Who actually is Leatherface's sister, we'll find out.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
I believe so. So Erin's looking for a phone to call the, I don't know, call who, 'cause how do you call the cops at this point?
Yeah, who do you even call?
Yeah, but they say they don't have any phone, but they do have tea.
Yeah, they really want Erin to drink the tea. Important.
Yes. So they're trying to calm her down, but this whole time we know something isn't right in this house.
Yeah,
so,
really hillbilly-ish, really odd. Just even the way they're so calm. Again, she's telling him she's being chased by a chainsaw. All these people don't really care.
No, not only do they not care, they know this Leatherface.
Yes, he is a sweet boy.
A poor, sweet boy. And so this is where we learn Leatherface was born with a skin disease. So at this point, Erin's freaked out. She starts screaming or making noise and wakes up the baby.
Yes, we find out there's a baby there.
Yes, which it's not good. You can tell they're not happy about her disturbing the child.
Yeah, and Henrietta grabs beans and takes the beans of the baby. So I think what we're seeing is she doesn't know how to feed a baby. Right?
You don't feed babies beans.
No, you don't.
So at this point, Erin starts to get sleepy. That tea had a little something in it.
Which makes sense again, because they were like forcing her to drink it. So now we know they drugged her.
And not only is that weird, a phone rings, and supposedly they had no phone.
They lied.
They lied about the phone.
They're liars.
So Erin's getting sleepy, and she comes across a picture. And in this picture, there's the baby that is in the house. Except it's with a different family.
It's with the original hitchhiker that shot herself. That's her sibling.
So I guess they're all not dead.
No, she lied.
She lied. So Erin confronts him and says, "That's not your baby," and passes out. Erin wakes up to old Hoyt standing over her.
Dumping some beer on her face.
So Erin's on the ground. Sheriff Hoyt's kind of like sitting over the top of her. And Luda May calls in Leatherface to come and take Erin away. And we learn that Leatherface's actual name is Thomas Brown Hewitt.
Yeah, good to know, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So Leatherface grabs Erin, throws her down to the basement. Now, Erin arrives in the basement, flooded with water, and she sees Andy. Now, Andy is doing the Iron Cross and playing the piano.
Yeah, so Andy's the one who's on the hook. And apparently there's a piano under his feet.
Yeah, so as he slides down, he makes noise. So he's playing the piano, but he's in the full Iron Cross.
Do you think they did that on purpose so he'd make noise if he happened to get off the hook?
I guess so.
It's fun. It's just an interesting
Creative.
little thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So Erin decides she's going to try to help Andy off the hook.
God.
And it's just poor attempts, man. She's up there trying to pick him up, but she's not even like in the right position. There's no way you're going to do it. She gets him off a little bit just to slide back down, and every time it hurts.
Oh, and she's way too low to make this work. She's way too low.
Yeah. And then Andy decides he's had enough, and he asks Erin to kill him.
So we have another decision. Does she kill him? Does she not? So Erin goes and gets a knife, and she has to decide if she's going to kill him. And the whole time I'm thinking, how's she going to do this? Because she's quite a bit lower than where Andy is.
Yeah. Again, Andy's way up on this hook. Erin decides that she's going to go and do this. Right. So that, first of all, that's a crazy decision, but I guess I understand it's a tough decision, but she decides she's going to kill him. Now, the way she kills him, I would say, is probably the most painful and also worst way to kill someone I've seen.
Yeah, again, she's quite a bit lower, so she stabs him Right? Maybe belly button?
She stabs him in the abdomen, which is actually not going to kill him and just cause a lot of pain. I mean, it might kill him over time, but that is not going to kill someone instantly.
In real life. But in this movie, instant death.
Yeah.
But dude, I saw that. I'm like, what is she doing? Like, that is not how you kill someone.
I mean, I guess it's good to know that she doesn't know how to kill someone, but that was painful to watch.
And again, so I mentioned how wet it was down there. Now I'm going to tell you, I think the whole plan for the wetness is because Erin is wearing a white shirt. And I think it was all just to get her wet in a white shirt.
There was multiple times, and in fact, there's still another one coming up where sprinklers are turned on.
Well, and it starts raining later.
So now we're left with Erin, and we think she's the only victim until she finds Morgan sitting in a bathtub.
Yeah, we find out Morgan's alive. We didn't know what happened to him, right?
Yeah, remember he came back with Sheriff Hoyt. Apparently he got taken to the basement. It looks like he got hooked at some point.
Yeah, they don't mention it, but he's got a hole in his back, which, yeah, it's got to be a hook.
Not just his back. I think he's missing 2 eyes as well.
Yeah, see, it was really dark in the basement. I couldn't really see. But yes, something's clearly wrong with Morgan.
Right. So Erin, at this point, picks him up, is trying to help him. And we have the return of Jed.
Jed's there to save the day. And he says, hey, come follow me. I know a way out.
Yeah. And at that same time, we have Leatherface come barreling down the stairs.
So what was interesting, too, I saw is Leatherface was watching this the whole time.
He likes to watch.
Yeah, which I thought was kind of interesting. He's just kind of observing. And then once he found they were going to get out, then he's like, okay, well, I better go do something.
Yeah. So he comes barreling. And again, this guy is an athlete. He's flying.
He's fast and strong.
Jed takes them into the walls. And we have ourselves a straight up people under the stairs situation.
Dude, I wrote in my notes the same thing. I'm like, this is people under the stairs just because there's kind of sunlight shining through those boards.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, I liked that. That was pretty cool looking.
Yeah. So they're running through the walls. Leatherface is chasing them.
Keep in mind, Morgan isn't really running. Erin's got to assist him because, again, I don't know what's wrong with him, but he's got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. So they find a ladder to escape the basement. Morgan's going up. He breaks one of the stairs. Leatherface is coming with his saw. Meanwhile, Erin's following Morgan up. Leatherface grabs onto her. She kicks him, kind of knocks him back. We leave Leatherface and Jed in the basement. Erin and Morgan make it out, and they slam the door, like lock it, and run off. So Erin and Morgan are running away from the house. They end up finding like an abandoned shack out there.
Right.
And again, I get Morgan's hurt, but like, I don't even know if I would take shelter. I would like hide somewhere. I don't even know. Like, I don't want to go in a building where he can like show up.
I know, right? Just like go hide in the bushes or something.
Yeah, don't try. Like, it's, to me, that's the first spot to kind of check.
Again, we're in a horror movie though, you know?
That's true.
This movie works for this.
You're right. So they get inside the house, they barricade the door, they push a couch in front. Then they start kind of looking for ways out, and they notice that they're like pinned in here because the like windows are barred.
Yeah, because you just ran into a shack.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So Leatherface shows up. He sees that they've gone into this house. He's coming in. Now they decide they have to hide. So Erin takes Morgan, puts him in a closet. She finds like this crawl space where she can look through the slats, and she's watching.
Well, I did think it was funny. She puts Morgan in a closet. There's like only a closet in the room.
Yeah, there's one place to hide here.
I mean, I feel like that was a sacrifice more than like helping.
Well, she's got her first taste of like killing. She wants to do more.
She's becoming part of the family.
Yeah, that is funny though. There was like literally nothing in that room.
I know. I was looking around. I'm like, I think he's gonna look there.
Yeah. So she's like peeking through these slats. More Leatherface comes in the room. It's super tense. Like he's looking around. He hasn't decided to check the closet yet. And then she kind of like backs up against the wall.
Well, hold on. And then the rats come.
Oh, yeah. Well,
oh, my God. If you want to talk about the scariest thing in this freaking movie, the amount of rats that come and attack her, it is wild.
That's true. Rats are crawling all over. She's keeping her cool. That's, I think, why she stood up.
I choose the saw. Yeah. I'm not letting those rats crawl on me.
Yep. So she backs up against the wall. And then, boom, Leatherface explodes through the wall and two-hand grabs her, yanks her back into the room.
Again, this dude's a powerhouse.
Powerhouse. So yanks her into the room, which brings Morgan out of the closet to help. He runs at Leatherface. His hands are bound, but he knocks the chainsaw out of Leatherface's hands.
I will say, well, Erin did help, too, with some of the weakest hits I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Like open hand hits, almost.
It's not the Morgan we know.
Erin.
That's not the Erin we know. So they knock the saw out. Leatherface now is going to focus his attention on Morgan.
Yeah.
He pushed Erin kind of to the side. So he grabs Morgan with ease, lifts him up, and hangs his hands on the chandelier in the room.
This is awesome. This part is just awesome.
Then I think this might be Leatherface's greatest kill.
One of them.
Grabs the saw, and how do you think he's going to saw him? Maybe with a slice across the belly?
Not this guy.
No, he brings it low and goes from the bottom up through Morgan.
And keep in mind, Morgan's facing him. So just for a visual.
Yeah. And so like legs spread, saw. Not good.
That was brutal. Poor Morgan, man. He saved Aaron, but man, he got it bad in the end.
It's the nut split.
Oh, yeah.
So at this point, Erin's the lone survivor. She is the last one left.
Yep. Everyone's been killed off that she knows of.
Right.
We still don't know about Chicken Girl, but I think she's dead.
She's 100% dead. So she makes her way to a road where a car's coming down. To the point they stop, she even bangs on their hood, but they ain't having it. They go around her and leave her.
Again, I think the banging on the hood was just so you could see Aaron here in the white shirt jiggling on the hood. I'm not kidding. I really think that's the reason why they put that in there.
There really was no other. The car just left. So Erin takes off. She ends up making her way back to the Blair Meat Company slaughterhouse.
We finally made it, guys.
Meanwhile, Leatherface is still chasing her. He gets like hung up in some barbed wire and ends up cutting his leg.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Another throwback to the first.
This is the first time I would say we see a flaw with this Leatherface. The first mistake.
Yeah, a little careless with the saw.
A little careless with the saw.
Apparently doesn't care about safety.
Yeah. So Erin ends up, there's like multiple chase scenes in here, so I'm going to kind of go through them. Erin hides like in a metal walkway. Leatherface like shows up from nowhere, kind of grabs her. She kicks him, escapes, goes into like the meat hanging room, hides in a piece of meat. This is where Leatherface turns on the sprinklers. Yet again, another scene.
Well, just to be clear too, we're in the slaughterhouse now.
Right.
And yeah, of course the sprinklers come on, white shirt. Again, I'm telling you, it's not a conspiracy. This is what's happening. So, hey, I'm here for it.
Yeah. So she ends up escaping and goes down a hall where there's like a bunch of lockers, and she hides in a locker. Now, this is an interesting part because while she's hiding, Leatherface is looking around, but he's kind of lost her.
Yeah.
And to the point where he's kind of leaving at one point, but she's not done with him yet.
No.
I forgot to mention she's also carrying a knife she grabbed on her journey.
Important part. Yeah, this is interesting. You're right, because she's finally like had enough, right? She's gonna fight back.
Yes, and she starts making noise to lure him back to where she is. So he goes around, he's checking lockers, gets really close, and it looks like he's found her. So he goes to open the locker. We got a pig.
Of course. We got a pig.
Why not? So then he turns around, she busts out of a locker, and she goes ham on his arm.
Bro, rips the arm off.
Yeah, just starts chopping his arm and cuts off his arm.
Dude, I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, Leatherface just lost his arm.
Yeah.
And I'll say this too. She was very fortunate there just happened to be a pig across from where she was making noise.
Sometimes you get lucky.
Yeah.
How long has that pig been in the locker? God knows.
Why is it there? No one knows.
Yeah. So Erin leaves the slaughterhouse, makes her way to a road where a big rig semi sees her and actually stops and picks her up.
Right. And this is when you see her totally act just like the girl that they picked up originally in the movie, the one who killed herself. She almost says word for word the same thing she said.
Yeah, she's in like a catatonic state, just kind of mumbling things. And we see the truck driver goes in a direction that Erin doesn't like.
Just like the other girl did as well. And so she starts panicking again, grabbing the wheel, which then panics the truck driver.
Yeah, she's doing the yanking the steering wheel. You're going the wrong way, but not really explaining anything. And they come to the gas station where the sheriff's parked there. And the truck driver stops the truck and decides he's going to go get help. Meanwhile, Erin gets out of the truck and like sneaks around the gas station. So the truck driver goes in. It's who do we have in there?
We have Henrietta, we have Hoyt, and we have the baby.
And May.
Yeah.
And May. So the truck driver tells him what's going on.
Oh, let me just say this. I don't know where anything is relative to each other. Like, I don't know where why are they at the gas station when they were just at the,
slaughterhouse?
Well, no, that too. But I really like the Henrietta was with the baby at the trailer. Why are they now at the gas station feeding the baby?
I don't know. I think they're all close by, but I don't know why they went to the gas station.
I don't know.
Yeah, so the baby's in there and everything. The truck driver tells them there's this girl I found, she needs help or something. So they go out to like find out what's going on. Obviously, they know she's escaped or something.
And the truck driver's not bad. He's just like confused on what the heck's happening.
Right. So Sheriff Hoyt's going out to investigate. Meanwhile, Erin has actually gone into the gas station and stolen the baby.
Yeah.
And she's in a vehicle, and you see her, she's trying to hotwire this vehicle. Hoyt sees the truck. Erin's in the truck. So you think.
Well, yeah, say as the viewer, you don't know what vehicle she's in. You assume it's the truck.
Right. Hoyt walks over to the door right before she's able to start it, yanks the door open. She starts it.
And then we realize Erin's not in the truck at all. She's in an entirely different vehicle.
Plot twist.
And then she starts that car. And what does she do?
She trucks Hoyt, just runs right over him.
Hoyt goes for a ride. She runs him over and takes off, but she doesn't.
No.
Because what she does, she's going to finish this guy off. Because again, Erin's fighting back now.
Yeah.
And she backs up and runs that fool over again.
Back, forth. Hoyt is gone.
Yeah, for sure dead.
Again, who's the real killer? Erin's got 2 bodies now.
Yeah, she does. You're right. Hoyt has 0.
Yeah. Hoyt hasn't killed a single person.
Yeah, that's actually true.
Just a thought. Now Erin's driving away. She saved the day. She's alive. I mean, all her friends died, but she's alive. She's got the baby. She saved the baby. Everything is good.
Yep.
Or is it? Because Leatherface has one final swing with a chainsaw, hits the car, and she drives off.
And it's over.
Again, Leatherface has 1 arm, so it's one arm.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. And the movie's over, but it's not.
It's not. We come back to the police video. Remember in the beginning, where they're doing the investigation of the crime scene?
Right.
So it cuts back to the police video where they're narrating the crime scene. You have the police officer that's going down to explore the basement. Again, he's working with the cameraman, and they're again going through the water, and you hear all of a sudden a pig noise. And then Leatherface attacks, and all of a sudden the cop goes down, and then it's like snapshots, like quick shots of Leatherface, just like terrifying.
Yeah, it was actually that was pretty good. It startled me. I wasn't expecting that at all.
Yeah, and the camera goes down again. It's like Blair Witch
It's
style.
totally Blair Witch.
Yeah. We finished the movie with a final narration. The crime scene was not properly secured by Travis County Police. 2 investigating officers were fatally wounded that day. This is the only known image of Thomas Hewitt, the man called Leatherface. The case today still remains open.
Ooh.
Boom.
Yeah, that was good. That's a little surprise twist there at the end. Because we never saw obviously Leatherface die, so I assume he's still alive.
Yeah,
apparently just hanging out in the house still.
Dude, powerful hanging out in the house. Oh, yeah. Why the heck was he in the house? Whatever. It's his house.
I know.
Whatever. We don't need to get into it. And he's only got 1 arm and he's still doing great. So good to see that he's still, going along with his life.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on this movie? You got a rating we usually do. Must see, check it out. If bored, watch, skip it.
So I loved Leatherface. I thought he was obviously really powerful. I liked how they made him huge, and I thought he was really scary. There's a lot of jump scares in this movie too, which I thought was really good. They got me. For me, it just lacked a little bit. I don't know what it was, but I didn't totally connect with it.
Yeah. So what do you give it?
I would say check it out. I'd say it's like a check it out for me.
That's not bad. So do you like this less than the first one?
Oh, well, yeah, the first one's great.
It's like a remake.
Well, this one's totally different, though, right? The first one just, to me, there wasn't obviously gore like there is in this one. And there's just so many impactful moments in that first one that were just great. A la Leatherface shutting the door.
The door slam in the first iconic one. I feel like they should have recreated that better, but maybe they didn't want to.
I will say, I think this was the scariest out of all of them.
Yeah, so a couple things that I'll say. In the first one, the family, like the characters, there was a lot more depth to them as a whole, like the hitchhiker cook. Like you got to really know them and like kind of love those characters.
Yeah, that's true.
In their own way. I mean, after watching it enough times. But in this one, I wouldn't say that the family had as much intention, actually. Like you just like that, like May only had a couple little parts. Hoyt, to me, was the best family member other than Leatherface,
Yeah, you did get to see a lot of his personality.
Yeah, and I did like that. Like you said, the shining star or like shining parts of this to me, yeah, for sure was the scariest. It had like horror vibes. I loved the documentary style in the beginning. I thought all that was done really well. I liked the story. It wasn't like bad. I think that they recreated the hitchhiker scene and did it in such a different way. I thought it was really good. I mean, I'll just say this to me is like a must see. I think they did a great remake.
You're must seeing this?
Yeah, I would say it's a must see. I think it was I think it's a great Leatherface movie. I loved the Leatherface though. I love seeing a powerful, like, to me, he did a great job in this.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. Like the Leatherface was the best one, honestly, I've seen. Just because of how scary he was.
I'm not saying this is better than the first. I'm just saying I would say this is a must see. I would say if you're into these movies, check this one out.
All right, and Jessica Biel's not bad to look at too.
Jessica Biel's not bad. I mean, there's definitely some weird stuff, like Jedediah is a little strange, but
yeah. Well, and then I guess that's kind of what it is too. The whole family aspect where they're taking care of this baby too. I'm like, why is that even in here?
Yeah, there's a little bit of that stuff, and the family isn't as comical as previous movies. It's different though. This is to me like not as much of like that campy horror. This is like horror movie.
Yeah, just dark.
Yeah, and I liked it personally, but I could be wrong.
All right, let us know what you guys think.
Yeah. So let's move on to a little bit of trivia. So the film was actually made into a haunted house at Universal Halloween Horror Nights in both Florida and Hollywood.
Oh, that's cool. That would have been fun to go to.
Dude, I would love to go to that. I didn't know that.
I mean, that'd be terrifying too. A guy with a chainsaw chasing you.
Yeah. Brett Wagner was cast as Leatherface and appears in the scene with the sledgehammer murder. However, he got heat stroke during the filming and was replaced. Fans of the movie refer to him as the Lost Leatherface.
Oh, that's funny. That's a bummer for him.
Yeah, so he got one kill, then got sick and had to go off set. So the actor who played Leatherface, to prepare for the scene, ate a diet of brisket and white bread in order to get to 300 pounds.
That's an interesting combination. I would have chosen biscuits and gravy. That'll get you there, and it's a lot more tasty.
Yeah, I mean, I like brisket, but white bread, just eating white bread, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it worked, huh?
Yeah.
So he got nearly 300 pounds. Well, it showed it was great because he was huge.
Yeah. Fun fact, Jedediah was actually going to be killed by Leatherface in that scene where he helps him escape.
Uh-huh.
But it was scrapped because the filmmakers thought it was too intense.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd agree. One, you kind of like the kid. That would have been a bummer to see him go down. Two, he's part of the family. It doesn't really make sense for him to kill his own family, right?
True. Check this out. Deleted subplot detailed Erin being pregnant.
You're such an idiot. You knew that the whole time.
Do you know what's funny? I forgot that. Like, I read this. I didn't even I seriously.
This guy's over here passing it like it's his idea that Erin's pregnant. He read it already.
Dude, I seriously thought I just came up with that. I obviously had read this in the trivia.
Dude, that makes so much more sense now. I guess you were right.
Oh, funny.
Well, see, but I just took it as they were trying to make it seem like she was the clean girl, but now it makes sense. Like, she usually probably would do those things with her boyfriend, but just didn't because she's pregnant.
Yeah, so there was a plot of her being pregnant.
You're so stupid.
I totally forgot. I read that, to be honest. Film critic Roger Ebert gave this film a rare 0 stars.
That's crazy. It's not a 0, but you know what it is? It's like when you compare it to the original was so iconic, you can't compare the two. Well, but for just being a stupid horror movie, I liked it.
Dude, the hard part is honestly because we're just right now, we're just blazing through the Texas Chainsaw movies. You kind of compare them against each other. And to me, this is one of the better horror, scary Chainsaw movies, but it's hard to look at it outside of the universe of Texas Chainsaw,
of just good movies.
Yeah, out of all horror movies.
But see, when this came out, I remember I liked it. I thought it was I still think it's good, but I just don't think it's a great movie.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, thank you guys all for listening. It's appreciated, and we're gonna follow this one up with our. I don't even know what the next one is. I think it's
The New Beginning.
The New Beginning. We'll find out.
Whatever that means. I thought this was The New Beginning.
So again, if you're a YouTube listener, check out the audio form, which is Fright Night Flicks. You can find it on Apple, Spotify, all your streaming platforms.
Dang, that's professional.
And if you're an audio listener, we also do this on YouTube where we put in clips and stuff like that. So anyways, thank you guys all for listening. It's appreciated. We'll catch you on the next one.
See ya.